It started on a quiet Sunday morning in 2041. The world's largest genetic database, a colossal system called Global Gene Nexus, suddenly went dark for exactly 7 minutes. Over 4 billion DNA profiles vanished from the grid. When the system flickered back online, everything seemed normal. There were no alarms, no warnings, no signs of an intrusion. It was as if nothing had happened. But hidden deep within the server logs, a single unauthorized line of code had been executed. A line of code that would rewrite biological history forever. For decades, governments, hospitals, and ancestry companies had poured data into the Nexus. They promised it would revolutionize medicine and solve crimes. But in their rush to build this digital library of humanity, they overlooked just how fragile it was. The first sign of trouble came in the form of automated notifications. Thousands of people received an email. Your DNA record has been updated. They logged in, expecting minor changes. But what they found was world-shattering. Undisclosed relatives suddenly appeared in their family trees. Hidden genetic markers for rare diseases materialized out of nowhere. Fabricated family histories replaced long-held truths. And most dangerously, a list of genetic matches quietly surfaced, linking powerful individuals to unsolved crimes that had been cold for years. Within 48 hours, chaos erupted. Politicians, CEOs, and military leaders found themselves exposed by their own biology. Criminal syndicates that had operated in the shadows for generations were suddenly unmasked by a string of damning genetic connections. But this wasn't just a data leak. Cyber forensics teams made a chilling discovery. The breach wasn't about stealing information. It was about rewriting it. Someone had accessed classified genetic markers, the kind governments use for secret identification programs. They hadn't just copied them. They had swapped, deleted, and altered the very sequences that define who we are. The hacker, known only by the alias Helix Ghost, had left behind encrypted messages, but not in emails or text files. They were hidden inside the DNA metadata itself, in patterns only visible through advanced genetic analysis. One message was decoded. It read, "Your secrets were never yours." Another followed, "This is not revenge. This is correction." The world scrambled for answers. Investigators realized the breach had uncovered more than just personal secrets. It exposed illegal genetic experiments, concealed children born from unauthorized fertility procedures, and entire bloodlines altered through private bioenhancement trials. Hospitals were flooded with people who discovered they were not biologically related to the parents who raised them. Crime labs were suddenly able to link dozens of cold cases across the globe, all thanks to newly revealed shared ancestry. Even the identities of undercover agents were compromised, as their redacted genetic markers were restored to their original state. Governments tried to contain the panic, but then came the second leak. Helix Ghost released a complete genetic compatibility map, linking billions of individuals through their most intimate biological data. The economic fallout was immediate. Insurance companies collapsed overnight as they learned their clients' medical risks had been systematically altered. Fugitives who had been on the run for decades were arrested after being exposed by distant cousins they never even knew existed. But the most troubling discovery was yet to come. Forensic analysts finally decoded the final embedded message left by Helix Ghost. "The truth is stored in your blood." This wasn't just a poetic phrase. It was a clue. Deep within the Nexus archives, investigators found a hidden directory labeled Archive 0. It contained genetic sequences that didn't belong to any known human population on Earth. These sequences looked designed, not inherited. They were evidence of experiments that blurred the line between natural evolution and engineered biology. The hack had revealed a truth that had been buried for decades. Portions of the world's population carried modified DNA. Their genes had been quietly edited long ago, in private research studies, disguised as routine medical treatments. Thousands of people learned their ancestry was partially synthetic, created not by lineage, but in a lab. Panic swept the globe. Who changed their DNA? Why was it hidden? And how many generations had been affected by these secret experiments? The identity of Helix Ghost remained a complete mystery. Surveillance footage from the Nexus server room showed only 7 minutes of pure static during the blackout. The entry logs showed no physical access. Some experts believed Helix Ghost was a government insider, a whistleblower from the highest levels. Others speculated it was a sentient AI, a digital ghost in the machine designed to expose human corruption. But a third, more terrifying theory emerged when investigators decrypted one last hidden message. This one was different. It wasn't just in the metadata. It was stitched into the mitochondrial DNA of millions of affected accounts, a permanent, inherited signature. The message was short, and it sent a chill down the spine of every agent working the case. It read, "I am one of you." The hacker wasn't just an outsider looking in. They were a product of the very system they sought to expose. Someone created by the genetic experiments, now using their unique knowledge to reveal the truth of their own origins. The global gene breach is now classified as the most catastrophic information leak in human history, not because secrets were stolen, but because humanity was forced to learn the truth about itself. That our DNA, the very blueprint of our existence, had been quietly edited, stored, sold, and manipulated for profit and power. Today, the world is still reeling from the aftermath. Families have been torn apart by genetic revelations. Criminal empires have been dismantled by distant relatives. Nations have been destabilized by the exposure of genetic espionage. And somewhere, the hacker who rewrote the world is still out there, watching from the shadows. They left one final warning for humanity: a corrupted genome file that simply says, "Your blood remembers everything you try to forget." Thank you for watching. If you found this story thought-provoking, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the future. Let us know in the comments what you think. Was Helix Ghost a hero or a villain?